In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern. These models that came out today are showing a lot more consistent cold through Christmas than what we've seen in the last few model runs. There is warm-ups in between. I would say the setup that we have moving forward is a little bit more standard than what we've seen the last couple of weeks, which has likely spoiled a lot of us. But nevertheless, it does appear like there will be cold, and with that, there will be snowfall opportunities, including very, very close to Christmas time. So let's just take a look at these things and just kind of dive through it. As we look at this afternoon, I can't believe it. It's been months that I've been kind of talking about the drought in the east, and really it's the whole east, like east of this mark, really. And we're still kind of needing the relief, and we're getting a lot of that here for these areas. From the deep south up through the northeast and mid-Atlantic, we are seeing a lot of relief from the drought. Of course, snowfall can result in relief from the drought as well as that melts. So that is also good news for the drought as well. And overall, your jet stream is a little bit of a trough in the west, ridge in the east. We've been talking about this Sunday, now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday warm pattern. So we're halfway through it now. We are going to see another cool down perhaps around Thursday timeframe that lasts through the weekend. So again, a little bit of a revolving door, kind of just, off and on pattern that we're seeing. The bigger picture here is that we do have warming air along the west coast, and that is going to spread and expand and eventually push the cold air towards the east. So this is going to be the motion that we see. This warmth is going to expand into the west. That cold is going to expand towards the east. Everything's going to be moving progressively. So let's just watch this in action. Here's Tuesday on the 10th, and look at how much more expansive this warmth is over the west coast. And we can also tell that this cool down is kind of becoming a lot sharper with this trough. This is going to be indicative of one that's about to be on the move and kind of spread into the east here. So we're going to see this happen rapidly. Still by tomorrow, we have precipitation up and down the eastern seaboard. So this is still, again, good news for that drought. As we continue towards Wednesday, this is when things get interesting. I guess I better start here at 4 a.m. on Wednesday. We're going to see a kind of low develop along this frontal boundary. Still tons of precipitation. We're going to see snowfall starting to mix in around the area that's closest to the cold, obviously, towards the west here. And this is about 7 a.m. on Wednesday, December 11th, and we're seeing Kentucky, Ohio there, seeing some snowfall starting out just to the west of this low here. We also see that by the time we reach towards the afternoon hour, this becomes more and more widespread. We're seeing areas like eastern Tennessee, western Virginia, eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, eastern Ohio, and western Pennsylvania. That's a mouthful. Now a 996 here, so an expanding low. We see this cold front off to the south of it, possibly. I say possibly because it's not guaranteed for any given location, but thunderstorms could be featured on the front end of this with how much warmth and humidity is out ahead of it. We will be on the lookout for this, of course, but definitely heavier showers in there, to say the least. As we just move on a couple of hours here, we see this is continuing northeastward. This is by 7 p.m. on Wednesday. As we keep going, we see that the snowfall expands into much of New York and Vermont and the Berkshires. It's going to have a little bit of a hard time accumulating as there was rainfall just a little bit before this, but I think for these mountainous areas, it could definitely accumulate over time. And also this low is very, very strong, 979, so there's probably intense snowfall rates coming down just to the south of this low, I would assume. So regardless, kind of a snowy situation there. Your jet stream, a little bit of a ridge out west, and a really, really intense trough here for the east with plenty of blocking here over eastern Canada. This is allowing for these storms to track right up the coast here. If we had one moving in right as we speak here, we would be dealing with an east coast snow situation, but that's obviously not what we're seeing here. Again, this is Thursday the 12th, our kind of cold day. Friday, it lifts off a little bit. We're still cooler than we are right now, but it does lift off a little bit as we kind of have some instability increasing here along the central states and Midwest states. Snowfall to the north, kind of an icy mix to the south of there. And then eventually, if you're kind of to the south of the low, you're seeing plain rainfall. Also, I should note that there is a storm system moving on toward the northwest as well here, as we're between Friday and Saturday. For the high temperatures of Saturday, this will be about 4 p.m. or so on Saturday, December 14th. We do see plenty of snowfall for the mountainous west for all three major mountain ranges, the Sierra Nevada, the Cascades, and the Rockies here, especially the northern Rockies. As we continue to get off and on stormy patterns out there, we do see that there isn't really an organized low. It probably would be somewhere, I don't even know where it would really be set up, somewhere in between. Looks like there's a little bit of a cold front, warm front situation wanting to develop, but there's not a lot of low pressure there at all. It's mostly lighter snow showers to the north and lighter rain showers to the south. As we reach towards Sunday, we see this does reach the eastern seaboard, again, bringing much needed precipitation. And then we get a little bit more of an intense low, and if you've been keeping up with our videos for a few months, or weeks now at least, you would know that these lows in between the Great Lakes and the Hudson Bay are indicative of bringing cool downs here recently. We do see a cold front developing along this, colder air pouring in behind this cold front, and we have the other really important stepping stone here for a cool down in the east, which is the overall warming trend for a lot of the west here. So this is likely to bring cold air back to the east coast, and again could see thunderstorms or showers along that frontal boundary as it moves in, as these are very intense air masses. Still continued snowfall for the Cascades, northern Sierra Nevada, and northern Rockies as well. Let's take this towards Tuesday afternoon, and things get pretty interesting here. This is again Tuesday the 17th. We see a 1,001 millibar low pressure center here off the mid-Atlantic. Some snowfall for the Ohio Valley, Appalachian Mountain Range up into Pennsylvania and New York. As we start to see this coastal low develop along the line kind of last minute. As we move on a couple of hours, we see that snowfall does spread into New England as this low pretty rapidly intensifies here. 987, bringing heavy snowfall once again in New England. But it's the same situation. There was rain and now there's snow. And how much of that is going to accumulate, time will tell if this does occur like this, of course. As we keep going, we get towards a situation that could get interesting. We have warmer air really widespread out west. Not the coldest air, but it is stretching far to the south. And then we have lots of precipitation there along this jet stream. When we look at this area of moisture, it's very expansive and pretty intense. If we could get a setup like this with the colder air actually matching up with that precipitation, we could be talking about snowfall somewhere in here. You're going to have to take that with a grain of salt, though, because, you know, it's going to take some steps to get us there, and these models change a lot. I get so many comments that are like, especially yesterday, where people were like talking about how I show things that are, 10 to 15 days out, and I don't really express that the likelihood of it happening or not happening, or, that it's an overall pattern thing. But I feel like I stress it too much almost. People complain about that on one hand, and then on the other hand, people are like, your videos are too long, you do too much talking and all this. So it's like, I'm really, can't get it right one way or another. But I will say that it is more about the overall pattern. I feel like I say that pretty frequently, but I'll say it again. It's much more about the overall signals of cold air, the overall signals of storms, than it is about the specifics. And I'm sure if you've kept up with my videos, you've heard me say that multiple times, but there I am saying it again. By time we're reaching Saturday, we continue to kind of have some cooler air here along the east. Nothing crazy like we saw in yesterday's model run, so that's evidence of these model runs changing pretty rapidly. We do have cold air kind of surging for the west coast here, whereas like the central and much of the west is warm here, but we do have that west coast cold air. It's likely what's keeping this trough really exclusive for the eastern states. We do have some pretty expansive snow showers, and they're probably lighter, but they are all over the place for the east here just before Christmas. Some of those get pretty heavy. We do warm up a little bit before we see a clipper system come through between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Could get interesting up for these areas if we have some snowfall going on between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We'll have to watch and see, but this model does bring a sudden and intense trough there to the western seaboard, bringing plenty of mountainous snowfall out west. So Cascades, Rockies seeing plenty here. Could get interesting, but we are seeing this, I would say 13, 14, 15 day mark kind of fluctuate a ton here, and I'm going to place a big question mark on a lot of this. Let's move on to the European model, get our second perspective here. I want to take us to storm number 1 here. We see this low. Again, moving up into Canada, intensifying greatly, bringing lots of precipitation to the east coast and even snowfall to New England and the northeast. We deal with this intense cold air for Thursday into a bit of Friday, but that does lift off over time. We do see this kind of Midwest system bringing snowfall to Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. This is by Saturday the 14th. As we keep going, though, that low does transfer off the coast. Like we were talking about earlier, we see New York, northeastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey here, seeing this heavier snowfall. And as we keep going, that kind of just slips off to the southeast. I wonder if that might move up the coast a little bit more than what this is showing. I think there's some big question marks there. We had colder air moving back into the eastern states for the 19th, 20th, 21st here on this model as well. And really through, this is the 22nd. And then here comes the 23rd, where we get a strong low. It moves between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes. Keep in mind that's an important factor. And it moves into eastern Canada as a 980. And this pulls along a cold front that drags the cold air straight into the east. This is a hugely different look than the GFS model. The GFS model had colder air moving down the west coast. The European model has the strongest positive PNA we've seen so far this fall or winter, and it's sending the cold air directly into the eastern states with snowfall for some spots in here as well. This is the day before Christmas Eve, or what I called it yesterday, Christmas Eve's Eve. And then here's Christmas Eve, actually, and it appears like we're getting colder in the east, and not only that, we have a 991 moving down into the mid-Atlantic and northeast. We're dealing with snowfall throughout the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and portions of the Northeast here for the morning and afternoon of Christmas Eve. But again, these models have been fluctuating a lot around this time frame, so we're going to continue to track it, but still looking like there's multiple cold opportunities, multiple snow opportunities, looking a lot better than it was just a couple of days ago. Total precipitation on the GFS, we see a surge actually for the Northwest here on this particular model. And then for the east, where we really need it, we are seeing multiple inches of precipitation as well. And when we look at the anomalies here, this is what we end up seeing. Above average now for the Northwest, which I can't really say for the past little while. This is definitely a surge here. And then the Northeast down through portions of the Southeast, we're seeing above average precipitation as well. This is really great news. Total snowfall on the GFS model here. We do see a lot for the mountainous west, of course, a little bit of a surge, especially the Cascades and Sierra Nevadas. The Rockies still a little underwhelming here. We do see some progressive snow systems moving through the northern plains, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast here over time, so some snowfall there. But when we look at the European model, we're going to see a bit more. The mountainous west sees a bit more here. Definitely the northern plains, Midwest, Great Lakes sees a whole lot more. Tons for these lake effect in regions where we see lake effect snowfall. We are seeing feet in there still moving forward. We're seeing overall, 2 to 4 inches for a lot of spots in here in the plains and Midwest. And then for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, we're seeing more expansive amounts as well, as we get a couple of more amped systems here where, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, New York, New England end up getting, 6, 10, 12 inches over the course of the next 15 days over multiple systems combined, but still looking a lot more amped than the GFS model here. When we look at the temperature pattern, it's going to be the same story. GFS model is a little less aggressive. We do see this cool down here. This is Wednesday, so again, very warm along the east. And then Thursday here, just a really aggressive cool down. It does move out quite quickly, though, by Sunday, where we warm back up, followed by another cool down here for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, we're filled with some cold, some warm here. When we look at the European model, we're going to see a bit more here. We get this big cool down, sticks around through the weekend. We warm back up briefly. I mean, look at this cold air hanging on for the East Coast Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we get another major cool down here for the following Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then there comes another one. So a lot colder on this European model than the GFS model. Time will tell what ends up happening, though. We do upload every single day for the most part, so be sure to subscribe. We're going to keep you guys up to date with all of these things, the storms, the temperatures, all of it. So be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.